For this recipe, you will need 1/2 cup flour, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, 1 1/2 teaspoon granulated sugar, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons beaten egg, 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons milk, 1/8 teaspoon vanilla, 1 1/2 teaspoon melted butter. You can also add up to a half teaspoon of cinnamon if you would like to this recipe. Equipment for this lab. You will need 2 small cereal bowls or 2 small mixing bowls, 1 fork, 1 custard cup, a liquid measuring cup, dry measuring cups, measuring spoons. You will also need a spatula for flipping your pancakes, and then either a frying pan, griddle, or electric skillet to cook your pancakes on. You will also need some cooking spray to grease your pan. So, as I said before, it's really important to have your mise en place set up. So you'll see I have my custard cups out again with all of my ingredients ready to go so that I don't waste any time once I get in the kitchen. But there are 2 ingredients that I need to show you how to prep before we can really get started. So when it comes to measuring liquid ingredients, you want to make sure you've got the right equipment. So you might have 2 different types of measuring cups in your house. This is 1/4 of a cup. Great, that's what our recipe calls for. We need 1/4 plus 2 tablespoons. But if I try to measure a liquid ingredient in this measuring cup, as soon as I start to carry it over to my bowl, it's probably gonna drip out all over the place and make a super huge mess. So I wanna make sure that I have the right tool for the job. So I wanna get a liquid measuring cup. So one thing that I see a lot of students try to do is they'll hold the measuring cup up to their face so that they can see that they're pouring it to the right line. So we want to measure up to the 1/4 line, which is the bottom line right here. So they'll take their milk and they'll hold it up and they'll start pouring it and they'll check it like this, and their hand might not be level or they might be shaking around. So we do not want to do that. Whenever we go to measure a liquid ingredient, we want to make sure that our measuring cup is on a really flat surface. All right, so you are going to want your liquid measuring cup, the one with the little spout, on a nice flat surface. You're gonna grab your liquid ingredient and you're gonna pour nice and slowly. And you want it to go up to the 1/4 line. So to check this, and turn it around, I wanna get down to eye level and I'm gonna take a little peek and I'm gonna say, hey, that's spot on. Perfect. So flat surface, eye level, and if you want to learn a nice science word today, meniscus. When you go to check the measuring cup, you're actually looking to see where the curve of the liquid hits the line that we want, so the 1/4 line, and that is the meniscus. So for this recipe, we need 2 tablespoons of beaten egg. That's approximately half of an egg, but you can't cut an egg in half. You have to measure it out. So in this custard cup, I have an egg, and I'm just taking a fork to beat it up. I want the yolk and the white to be one with each other. I'm now going to take my other little ingredient bowl right here. I'm going to put my 1 tablespoon measuring spoon above that, and I'm going to slowly pour in 1 tablespoon of beaten egg. So there's 1, and then I'm just going to do it again. 2. Now we're ready to make pancakes. So right before you're ready to mix your ingredients together, I like to start warming up my pan. So you have a couple of different options. Today, I'm going to be using something called an electric frying pan or an electric skillet. It's a really useful kitchen tool. I always recommend that people have these in their house because they're really cheap. They're around $20 to $25, and you can do so much in this, from making a stir fry. You can even bake a cake in this. So, electric frying pan, electric, because it's got a plug. So I've just turned this up to 350. 350 is my nice like moderate heat, and I'm gonna let that warm while I start to assemble my ingredients. If you are going to be using a frying pan on top of your stove, you're definitely going to want to use medium heat. That means do not have it on high. Your pancakes will burn. Everyone in your house will be sad. So you're going to start heating up your frying pan. You're going to remember to turn your handle away from the edge of the stove to make it much safer, and you're going to let it warm up. All right, let's get mixing. So remember, for the muffin method, we're going to have 1 bowl of wet ingredients and 1 bowl of dry. So to this bowl, I just added my 2 tablespoons of egg. Here's my 2 tablespoons of milk. To that, I'm going to add another 1/4 cup of milk. My melted butter, which I had ready with my mise en place. It was just 1½ teaspoons. And my vanilla extract. You're going to want to mix this. So I have my fork here. Just want to combine those ingredients. And now in my other bowl, I'm going to start measuring my dry ingredients. So I have my 1/2 cup of flour, my sugar, my baking powder, which is going to make these pancakes bubble and rise, and my salt. And here's where you have some options. Now, I like to put cinnamon in my pancakes. I would add a little bit, maybe 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And I would just stir that in. So with the muffin method, I am going to pour my liquid ingredients right into my bowl here. Okay, and I'm just going to take my fork and I'm going to slowly mix this because I don't want a huge splash. So the big thing with making pancakes, you really just want to mix things until they're combined. We really do not want to mix it till it's smooth. We want our batter to be a little lumpy. So I'm going to go around the sides here to get those dry ingredients incorporated. I don't want to see any patches of flour. You don't want to bite into your pancake and bite into dry flour. That would be gross. All right. And my batter is good to go. All right, so you're seeing the top view of my electric skillet here. And one thing I like to do is test to make sure that it's hot. So I actually have some water on my fingers and I'm flicking it. You can hear that sizzle. So that tells me that I'm ready to get started. But I don't want these pancakes to stick. So I am going to use vegetable cooking spray or Pam. You could always use a little bit of butter or oil, but I prefer to use the nonstick spray. So you don't want to spray this on until you're prepared to make your pancakes, because if it sits a long time, it's going to burn, and no one wants a burnt pancake. I am going to be using a 1/3 measuring cup to scoop my pancake batter out. And I like to make my blobby pancakes here. And since this is a small batch and I'm only making 2 pancakes, I'm just going to scrape it right out of the bowl. So as your pancakes start to cook, we are going to see some bubbles growing. All right, so right now we're just letting these pancakes cook, and you can see there's some bubbles coming to the top of the surface. We want lots of bubbles, and we want them to rise and pop, because that tells us that our pancakes are cooking all of the way through. See some bubbles, they're popping. We're also going to look at the edges of the pancake. We want to see that they're getting, they're going to start to look a little less wet. And then we know that it's time to flip. So flipping a pancake, you are going to use a turner or a spatula, and it is all in the wrist, meaning you want to be fast when you take your spatula underneath your pancake to flip it. All right, so I just flipped one of the pancakes. I'm gonna come under this one. And same deal, and I flip it fast. We're gonna let it cook for about a minute or two on the other side, and then they'll be ready to pop off and pop in my belly. All right, let's talk frying pans. So if you used a frying pan to make your pancakes, or even the electric skillet, you might notice that a lot of them have a coating on them, which is why we never, ever use metal on a non-stick pan, because it'll put a whole bunch of scratches in it, and no one wants to eat Teflon. This is not really good for your health. So we always want to make sure that we keep our forks away from flipping or mixing or stirring when we're using anything that has this non-stick coating. Once you're done cooking something in a frying pan or an electric skillet, you want to make sure that the heat is turned off. I always will take a frying pan and I slide it to a burner that is completely cold. And while I'm eating, I will let my pan or my electric skillet cool down. You want to make sure that it's completely cool before you go to wash it. Because what can happen, if I take this lovely frying pan and I stick it in cold water or even warm water when it's really, really hot, I'm gonna ruin my pans. It can actually warp them. In some frying pans that are like cheap, when you go and put it in cold water, it can actually bend it out of shape. So we definitely don't want that to happen. So enjoy your pancakes, let your pans cool down before you go to wash them. When you do go to wash it, you want to make sure you're using your hot soapy liquid, and any of that oil that you sprayed on so that your pancakes wouldn't stick, it's really gonna build up around this inside, but you may have also gotten batter on the edges of your frying pan. So you really want to make sure to take a sponge just to go around the inside, go around the edges, and make sure you wash the outside of the pan and the handle. You're going to want to make sure that you dry this off really well before you put it away so that you don't get any rust on your frying pan. And yeah, there you go.